Hey everyone, this is the DM Happy Hour podcast with your hosts. You introduce yourself.
Drayshawn Ryan.
Drayshawn Facts, Ryan.
Yeah,
And me.
facts. Why do I never say facts after you say Drayshawn Facts Ryan?
Because it comes up naturally. Like you just
Right?
say facts naturally. And then
Facts.
it just comes
Now I'm
up
gonna
and
just
then
say it.
I feel like it's like a snowball effect where you say it and then it's just like you just like
I just
facts.
overly say it. Facts. Facts. Facts.
Yeah, it's just actual factual. It's only facts up in here, That's it. Only
Yep.
facts. Oh yeah, and my name's Cynthia Sandoval. How are you guys doing? How's everyone doing today? How are you doing, Dre?
I'm
Even
good.
though
How
we
you doing?
just spoke like an hour before
Yeah,
this,
you're
but
right.
how are you doing? Look at me.
I'm,
I look
I'm,
like we look like hosts. If you could see us now, if you're watching this on Spotify or listening to this on Spotify, you can't see our video, but we look like we're hosting like like some like Hot 97 show.
I was just about to say that, like the
I look like
BT
Lauren
Awards or something. Not
Stiles.
not awards, but yeah. I don't know what I look like. I look like facts. That's it.
Drayshawn Facts Ryan. Drayshawn Facts Ryan is here, the SEO good. And I am, what would you consider me?
I would consider you the princess of advertising.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yo, why are you
Yeah. Let's
gassing
get
me
it.
like that?
Let's get it.
I don't like that. I'm gonna be mad cocky in this podcast. We're gonna get so
Let's
many
get it.
comments like, "Oh, that chick's so annoying."
Cynthia, the princess of advertising. Let's get it.
Princess of advertising. Damn, who's the queen? We'll
I
figure
don't
that
know.
out next time. We'll figure that
Yeah,
out
we'll
next
figure it
time.
out.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So actually, not too much going on in SEO. Some cool stuff that we were talking about prior to this call. Doing some research. Some cool updates within the PPC world. I was just talking to Dre, and we found out that YouTube is rolling out some new ad units. They're launching audio ads to reach music and podcast listeners. Basically, what they're doing is trying to catch on this wave that Spotify has just blew out of the water with the podcast advertising. I feel like podcast advertising is huge right now, and it's going to be huge. This is why podcasts are bigger than ever. This is why we're up in here. I
Right?
heard like even Seth Godin was talking about it. And I was like, damn, this is so smart. We started this podcast.
I know, right? And it was like super organic. So so what do you
How
so
do you
what do
feel
you
about
say to the
YouTube
people?
ads? No, I asked you
So
first
I was
now.
just about to ask you that. I was about
I just asked you first. No. I got some opinions.
you know, I think I think I think that YouTube is pretty smart with the direction that they're going. They're noticing trends and they're starting to adapt. And in order to survive and thrive, you have to adapt, right? You got to be adaptable. So I think that this, especially with the way that people are using the platform nowadays, like we were just talking earlier,
Yeah, it's more
how
streaming, and I think YouTube
right,
realizes it. Like you were
yep.
saying, you listen to music, I listen to music.
There's even certain like there's a YouTuber. I don't know if you know him. His name is Joma, and he has. I think his name is Joma.
I know who
Joma.
that is. Joma Tech.
Okay,
Joma Tech, right?
yeah, Joma Tech, and
Mm-hmm.
he basically has this thing on his like YouTube channel where he has like music playing, and it says like work and talk with other software engineers or something like that, and those people can come together and work and type in the chat while they're working on whatever they're working on, and he's like just streaming a song, and that's a pretty good idea, right? But it just goes to show how more people are using the platform. Even if you look up like lo-fi hip hop beats and stuff of that nature, there are some live streams that just run
Yep,
every
I
single
listen to
day,
them.
So yeah, so it's it's to me is it's smart, what do
I
you
dig
feel?
it.
How do you feel? And what is your like response to the people who say this is so dumb, right? Like this, why are they doing this? Like how do you feel about it?
I think YouTube is smart to take advantage. Well, first they listened to their customer base. They listened. They paid close attention to user behavior on the platform. They noticed that there was a shift, right? Because I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast on YouTube. I'm not watching it per se, but I listen to it. Even though he has moved on to
Hmm.
Spotify, I don't know what it is. I'm just used to listening to it on YouTube, and I was watching the episode yesterday with Dave Chappelle, and it was fire, and I just had it in the background. That's a 3-hour podcast, so I'm doing a lot of things at once. So I think it'd
Mm-hmm.
be interesting to see how it plays out, like actually, like what would it sound like? Because we were reading how the way, so it's in beta, but the way that they planned on like the visual of the ad would be with a static image or like some light motion graphics image with the actual audio. So I think that's really interesting. I'd be curious. I personally hate ads. That's why I'm the worst advocate for advertising. I hate listening to ads on my freaking Spotify. Like I feel like
Yeah.
they'd have to, I don't know how they do it. How interrupt would it feel? You know? Like would it be in
See,
the middle of a song? Like I don't know. That's what I'm
so
curious about.
like
I'm curious to see
I
how
don't.
how it plays out.
So I listen to Spotify all the time.
Do you have the free
And
version or the paid version?
not have the paid version. So
Yeah,
I
so
don't
you
have
don't
any.
have ads
No,
saying.
I don't have any ads. And so like first off, I love Spotify. Spotify sponsor us. But
Yo,
like,
imagine.
yo, let's get like we got to get on there. But
Get on
yeah,
that
no,
Joe
like I
Rogan train.
right, like I actually listen to Joe Budden's podcast a lot because I'm a avid hip hop
You're a hip hop head.
listener, watcher, writer, whatever you want to call me, and
Top writer.
and so yeah,
Okay.
rap writer, whatever, making it up.
All right.
But like I love listening to that. Like I was listening to Nicki Minaj and Joe Budden speak yesterday, I think, or either yesterday or 2 days ago, and I was just listening to like what Nicki Minaj felt like how the industry was treating her and blah 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 blah. So the more that, and I was listening to it on YouTube, like not on Spotify, even though
Yeah,
his
same.
podcast is on Spotify, but I
Yeah,
was listening to it
same.
on YouTube. So I think it's extremely smart.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it plays out. Things would be awesome.
Same.
I have a really cool little stat here. Searches for artists, bands, and songs dominate the list of top YouTube searches this year. That's crazy.
Mm,
That's
that is
crazy.
crazy.
57 out of the top 100 searches are music related. That's kind of crazy.
And that's just for this year.
That's just for this year. It says this year. Yeah. I mean, I can
Hmm.
click into the article and delve into a
I,
little bit deeper, but that alone is wild. In
Wait, but
addition
do
to
you think
studio
that
recordings, YouTube is a fast becoming is fast becoming a destination for live music performances as well. Do you watch like tiny, what is it, tiny big desk, tiny little desk? There's like this
no, I don't
live,
watch that.
oh, you gotta check it out because like awesome musicians will do like a live performance there, like tiny bit shit. This is horrible that I don't remember it.
I don't know.
If anyone remembers it,
Just
like let us know. Okay, so
yeah, drop it in the comments.
like the coolest musicians right now, they'll just play like a live show there, like on a tiny room or tiny desk or a tiny office. I forget. It's tiny something.
Hmm.
But I love watching those live performances. I think live streaming is becoming a really big thing now more than
It
ever.
is. It is. Do you think that the reason why there are more searches for artists and stuff of that nature on YouTube now has anything to do with COVID? Like, do you think there's anything to do, with that? Because there's more people home now than ever before,
Yeah.
right? And more people probably feel more comfortable in their house to look for things like that as opposed to being at work and
Yeah.
looking for music that they want to listen to. And I think that's a very interesting trend. I'm just wondering if that might be related to COVID in some type of way. It probably is, right?
There was a stat that I was looking at. I had to look it up for some kind of talk
Mm-hmm.
where online behavior, especially on YouTube, um, just the amount of people on YouTube increased, like searching, actively
Mm-hmm.
searching increased. And it makes sense. Like people say with shopping, right? Remember, I think I brought up a stat like the last episode, or I keep telling you privately how most
Mm-hmm.
people, the majority of people now this holiday season, obviously they're not going to be shopping in person, right? Everything is, there's a
Mm-hmm.
huge shift to from in person to online. So it's not necessarily an increase in revenue from last year, but it's just a complete shift in user behavior. So I think everyone
Yep.
is really like, for example, your aunt that was really like everyone has that one aunt, or maybe it's your mom, that just doesn't trust the internet because the credit card's going to take their money and they're going to get scammed or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So the past 3 months, the past 6 months, really, like they have been using DoorDash and getting their delivery on, like through some kind of app. Everything has been just, their entire user behavior has changed. So now they're that much more likely to probably jump on YouTube. If anything, I think there's probably some stats to prove this. I think the generation that was more skeptical of doing things online very much live online now. Whereas you
Hmm.
and I, like we've been on YouTube, we've been doing all this stuff, but it's like the 50 plus, I think they're all transitioning to like kind of like be cool, like the millennials and the Gen Zs.
it it's crazy because like even despite using YouTube and using all these different platforms, I think it took me a while to come around to like buying stuff on the internet.
Really?
Because yeah, not during like when I got into SEO and I got into digital marketing,
Yeah.
I was buying stuff. Like at that point I was like, oh, okay, cool, because I knew about digital marketing, I knew about SEO. Before that, you couldn't get me to buy anything online. Like
That's
it's
crazy.
crazy, right? And this goes back to what we all speak about. I'm really like 40 years old.
You're the
I'm really
oldest young person I've ever met in my entire life.
I'm like, my mom used to like say, hey, I want to buy this online. I used to be like, no, don't buy that online.
Oh my God,
I'm
you're everyone's old aunt that didn't like Andy's mom, my boyfriend. His mom is like, no, 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 usa mi tarjeta. Like, don't use my credit card. Like, I don't trust that. Don't do it. No, 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 no. She thinks like the IRS is gonna call her. Like, I'm like, bro,
Wait,
what?
what?
Yeah, I'm
Nah,
like,
okay,
how does that even
that's some
work?
other
Like,
stuff.
how
Yeah,
did you
that's
even come to that kind of like? Where's the logic line in that? I just jumped from here all the way to there, but. That's crazy. I wouldn't have expected that from you. But listen, I think our generation is the last generation though to because you remember a time when we didn't have computers and we
yeah.
didn't have cell phones. Like
Hmm.
I got my first cell phone when I was what? I think I was in middle school. I was probably in the 6th or 7th grade. That was my
Hmm.
first cell phone. And it was like this shitty little razor, which I thought I was the shit back then. I got like the gold edition.
Yeah. I
Do you
I
remember
think I
that?
got. Yeah, I remember the razors. Everybody had one. Honestly, you remember the sidekicks?
Yeah, yeah. I never got one. I got like a ghetto team mobile version because my dad
Oh
couldn't
my
afford it.
gosh.
I was poor.
I had the Dwayne Wade one. That one was the best
Oh
one.
shit! I didn't
Uh,
even know you
Yeah,
could.
you didn't know that? They had the
No,
brown Dwayne Wade one.
I
Oh
don't even
man,
know that was a thing.
back in the day, man. I'm saying this like I'm like 60 years old, but back in the day when we used to like use AIM, that was the best thing to have. Like I had that sidekick and I felt like the most popular kid in school for real off of
It's
that
funny
alone.
how but that's the thing. Okay, so it took us how long to transition, right? Like
Yeah.
people literally had to transition their behavior overnight in six
Yep.
months. Like
Yep.
that usually takes decades.
Yep.
So it's kind of crazy. So I think that we're just going to see more. I think YouTube even like the whole monetization thing, how
Hmm.
what was it, like even if you are like not
Yeah,
eligible
like
for monetization, they're going to run ads on your channel anyways,
yep.
right? So they're just not
Yep.
going to pay you. Like they can literally do whatever they want, which is why I'm rooting for Spotify even though I'm addicted to YouTube.
Right? YouTube, like, why are you breaking my
I'm so
heart? Like,
fake.
why are you doing that? Like
Dude, no one can take YouTube out. Like
it's crazy.
you're
It's
running
crazy that you
audio ads, bro. Like
I
just
know.
everything. They're looking to really like that poll. Remember when in like even now with Instagram releasing reels and putting it in the section where you used to look at like your likes and whatnot,
Hmm.
just going after TikTok. Same thing with YouTube. YouTube's going after Spotify. I think they're a direct competitor ever since the Joe Rogan the Joe Rogan contract.
And what was I gonna say? I'm having a brain fart right now.
That's okay. Hold your brain fart. Let's go into one more update
Yeah, go ahead.
for PPC, and then we'll get into our main topic. You guys will enjoy this. This is a question we've been getting a lot. But before that, just want to mention that smart bidding now has some new improvements. I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you're in Google Ads Manager at all, like if you're using smart bidding, I use a lot of Target CPA is probably one my favorite. I mean, you always have to test, right? Every account, every campaign is different, whatever, yada yada. It also depends on the amount of data that you have in the account. So I like to run with Target CPA. If you've noticed, there's now like simulators. So Google has now allows you to project if you increase your target CPA by like 10%, you know, you'll get X amount of clicks, you'll get X amount of conversions. Like and it's a new thing. So it's just, I thought it was cool. It's really helpful. It's insightful.
It just shows that like they're constantly evolving, constantly trying to make things better for everyone, you know. And I think that as time goes on, I just can't wait to to see the future. You know what I mean? Like I can't wait to see what's gonna happen because we've seen this industry, not just like, you know, PPC and SEO, but just everything as a whole shift, right? Like
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of stuff happen in the time that we've been doing this because things are changing all the time.
Right.
And we can confidently say that there was a time where, like, for example, when Google first, you know, did their very first update to the Google Ads, or not very first, but like their, you know what I'm talking about, when they changed to the new theme that they have in Google Ads right now,
Yeah,
right?
that was like, I remember
That was a
2 years
long time
ago,
ago.
2, 3 years ago. No, I was like
Right.
4 years ago. Like I was
Right.
still working at my old
And
agency.
the
And
old
I
one.
hated it. I remember I hated it. I was like, I'm not transitioning. Like, this is horrible.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
But then like look at how it works
It's
out,
so
right?
great. I love it.
It's so great. So it just goes to show that you can see these changes happening right in front of you, and then at first you don't like it, but then as time goes on, you start to adapt and you start to adjust, and you realize how much better it is and how much better Google's trying to make everything for advertisers, for marketers, for people in
Yeah.
general, you know, for users. And it's a really great thing to see and to witness, you know what I mean? Even how search has changed, like how they're more focused on users than ever, right?
Mhm.
Than ever before. And that's going to continue to be the trend that we're going to see. And it's just super exciting because I just can't wait till we get to that part where it's like that 10-year mark when we can look back and say, yo, I remember when such and such, like this was like this way, and now it's like this, and now it's
Yeah.
completely different.
What do you
But
think
also,
is going to happen in 10 years? I think this voice is a big thing for SEO, and I think it's the same for PPC, because I
yeah.
get voice searches in my search terms report, my very limited visibility search terms report ever since Google kind of fucked us. Anyways, but I think voice is the future, and also audio.
I 100% think voice is the future. I mean, when you look at the way people are starting, especially with like with COVID happening and people are adopting
Mhm.
more technology in their house and blah
Mhm.
blah 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 blah. Nowadays, I'm hey Alexa, what's the best restaurant to eat in New York?
Yeah.
They're giving me the answers based off of the feature snippet result, right?
Mhm.
But that
You
answer
just triggered my Alexa. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. She was like showing you.
but like you see, so like you have an Alexa, I don't have one, right?
Yeah,
but
I have
but
it's an
there's
Echo. I have an Echo, Amazon Echo, I think, right? Isn't that what they
yeah.
call them? Yeah.
So but like that just goes to show, like, think about it. I think that there's going to be a point in time where we're even going to be using voice search on our refrigerators.
Oh, okay. I was literally just thinking that, dude. Holy shit, that's so weird. I was like, did you hear how you could like these smart refrigerators? I wanted to buy one for my grandma. They're so wild, and you could
Yo,
like they're the Amazon refrigerator. Like they're so cool. You can be like,
I I didn't even know it was out yet. I didn't even know
yes,
it.
yes,
Wow,
people
that's
have
crazy. See,
them.
so it just goes to show that like it's gonna get to a point where and I think that as AI starts to, you know, because AI is getting, you know, better and better and better and better and adjusting and adapting.
Yeah,
I think there's gonna
machine
be a point
learning
where,
is
yeah, you know,
wild.
I think it's gonna be a point where we're like, hey, you know, I want Kraft macaroni and cheese. Right, we're gonna tell our refrigerator that
Yep.
what's the supermarket closest to me where I can get these Kraft macaroni and cheese, and
Dude,
then they might
I'm gonna go a step further.
go ahead.
Do you know what like smart refrigerators will do actually? They'll
What?
notice that you're missing like something. Like
That's what I was gonna
like
say.
you're missing milk,
Yeah,
right? So they'll be
yeah,
like they'll just automatically order milk from like
yeah.
Amazon Prime or something. Amazon's
And I
taken
think
over.
they'll compare they'll compare like they might find you a better deal for the same quality of milk based off of other users that have tried that specific milk.
That's
And
crazy.
I think as time goes on, just things are going to just get better and better and better and better and better, you know? And yeah, I think voice is the future. I think like all the trends point towards it. All the trends show that it's going to be huge, you know, and it's a great medium.
You want to know something funny?
What?
So I remember 4 years ago. This is when I was resistant to the new interface on Google Ads, right? But
Yeah.
I would comb our search terms report for some of our clients, and I would see search terms like "Okay Google," XYZ, and I was like, "What the frick does this mean?" Even I cursed already. So what the fuck does this mean? Like, why do people talk like that? Like,
Right.
"Okay Google." I didn't know. And
Yeah.
people were
Okay.
using it back then. I think it depends on like what service you provide, like what kind of industry they're in, that people are like more tech savvy maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was so weird how that pops up. I wonder how that will affect, well, we're talking about how it will affect the industry as a whole, right? With
Yeah.
YouTube running um audio ads as a new unit, a new ad unit. I think it's time for us to embrace AI overall,
100%.
and it
I
just makes
think
our jobs easier. Like I always say, we're strategists, not technicians. Or at least
exactly.
I coach marketing freelancers, and you do as well within SEO. I do it within paid media, really to step into the strategist role, not the order taker, but
Hmm.
instead the delegator or the strategist. There's no other way to phrase that. Someone who comes up with the plan and gets paid for that. That's how
100%.
once you step into that, you get paid for more consulting. You get paid for your actual brain, not adjusting bids
And
on Google Ads.
100%, 100%. And that's really important to, you know, to understand. I think, like you said, as you know, with everything happening, that is going to be more and more apparent. And it's crazy because, like, you know, every like nowadays, like me and you, we take training very seriously, right? So
Yeah, like
we
every day
train,
type
like
shit. Yeah.
we train, we try to get better, we invest in programs, we invest in ourselves, right? Like we spend a lot of
Coaching,
money in coaching and all this other stuff.
courses, workshops, all of it.
And I think that what's gonna happen, I think that AI is so good, like machine learning and AI is so good because 20, you know, 30 years ago, if you wanted
Mhm.
to be a marketer, right? Not first off, there wasn't a lot of people who really wanted to say like woke up every day and was like before the internet, there wasn't a lot of people who were like, I want to be a marketer. Like they were that was it wasn't like a sexy career,
I
right?
think
Or
it
a sex
actually was, dude.
you think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah,
More
because
than like
like
more
have you
in
ever seen Mad
comparison,
Men?
but like in comparison to things like engineering, in comparison to things like computer
Oh,
science, in comparison to things like
yeah.
I'm talking about it
I
from
don't
like
know.
a comparison perspective.
Yeah,
I don't think
I think
so.
marketing has
I don't
always
know. I
been
don't
for
think a lot of people.
rebels. What do you think about
I
that?
think it's more. So this is what I think. I think that right now everybody wants to be a marketer because I think that is it is probably the easiest time to be a marketer. And the reason why is because
Mm.
you can go online and just buy a freaking $12 course, think that you've learned every single thing, and then call yourself a marketer and say, "Hey, I know how to run Google Ads. I'm a great marketer." Right?
I could do
Back in
on
the
page SEO.
yeah, you can do on page. You can go to Moz.com, how to do SEO, right? And read some type of on page blog and then start doing it, right? And then say, I'm a marketer, right? Back in the day, there was a lot more that you had to put into it to actually be good at it. And I think that now everybody just jumps into marketing because they have the tools available to them, right?
Hmm.
SEO is free to learn. It's not a
Yeah.
hard, you know, it's free to learn.
Hmm.
And so the problem is that they're reading a lot of the times, especially if you're new, because you don't know who to go to. So
Hmm.
you're reading from all of these like sources and all this scattered information that's ranking on Google or like you found on YouTube. Some of these people are teaching you stuff that they've never done a day in their life, right?
Hmm.
And so because now anybody can just pick up a computer and start doing it, there are certain fundamentals that are being missed. But people
Yes.
But people will not know that because they are not, you don't know what you don't know. They are not
Right.
aware that they're missing that stuff, right? And so because of that, I think that because of machine learning, because of AI, because of all this stuff happening, it's going to get to a point where we are, it's like you said, we're strategists. We're going to be removed from that. We're always going to be, not, let me not say fully removed, we're always going to be somewhat involved in that process, but it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be to a point where we have to focus more on the fundamentals and actually being great marketers. Not how can I get some links to a page, or,
Yep.
you know, not like, oh, I just want to like go in Google Ads and lower the CPC and
Yeah,
do all this
yeah,
other stuff,
yeah.
right? Look at these like that's eventually going to get to a point where Google and just like the way that things are evolving, it
Mm-hmm.
can handle that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that the that goes back to what I'm saying. Like, as this stuff, the people who are scared, if you are scared of AI, if you are scared
You're not a
of machine
marketer.
learning, yeah,
Yeah,
you're not a marketer.
you're
You're
not a
a
marketer.
technician. You're somebody who's just in the machine, and you're using the machine to try to do a job that you don't fully understand. And if you feel like
Kind of a
that,
cog.
right, if you feel like that, then you need to refine those fundamentals. You need to really start studying more. You need to start, you know, look at people like, look at Sin, look at me, look at Seth Godin, look at all these wonderful people that you can learn from, right? So that you can level up.
I think I got to add some points there. So my okay, so two main things that pop up. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned how okay, so machine learning, going back to the fundamentals, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think now more than ever, you made such a great point. I want to emphasize on that.
Mm-hmm.
People are really bypassing the fundamentals
Yep.
because it's so they get caught up in like, how do I learn Google Ads? And I think that now more than ever, because this information is so readily available, a lot of it is fluff, right? So we don't know
Yep.
what's what. But because it's so readily available, the barrier of entry actually, honestly, I've noticed from when we started,
Mm-hmm.
the barrier of entry is higher because there's so many people that can run ads. There's so many
Yep.
people that can quote unquote do SEO, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
ones that really kind of swim to the top are the ones that are generally genuinely passionate about growing businesses and genuinely passionate about marketing.
Yep.
So you mentioned that people neglect the fundamentals, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
they do, but there are also fundamental. So here's the thing with paid media, with Facebook ads and Google ads, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising is more of like a better metaphor with this. 50% of it is creative, 50% of it is analytical. It's really a marriage of science and art. Like that
Mm-hmm.
when I love what I do because I get to incorporate both hemispheres, both sides of my brain,
Mm-hmm.
because it truly is. So there are fundamentals. So let's take it a step further. There are fundamentals within the creative aspect of things. There
Mm-hmm.
are fundamentals within the science aspect of things. So within
Mm-hmm.
Google Ads, something that I really needed to work on early in my career is just like having a good emphasis on analytics and
Mm-hmm.
understanding stats, just basic stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basic stats, and then math, but math when it comes to business, not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
calculus or anything like that. So that's really important. That's a fundamental that people need to really grasp, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the creative side of things, it's advertising, like the art of advertising, studying the greats, Ogilvy, right?
Yep.
Studying Seth Godin is one of the greats at this point. He's the GOAT. Studying like sales, the art of sales, the art of copywriting, things like that. Even like
Mm-hmm.
for me, my leg up is really having a good understanding of design. I wouldn't call myself a designer per se,
I would.
but thank you. I appreciate that. But I wouldn't, but I have a very strong admiration for design because
Mm-hmm.
design is essentially communication and when visual communication. And same way I appreciate video. I'm not good at video at all though. But at the core of marketing, that's communicating in a very persuasive ways, and these are the tools that we use to leverage. We use, ads, we use videos, whatever, and we also measure that with like the science aspect of things. So that's like a perfect segue into what we really wanted to talk about today, which was how essentially not necessarily how we started in our careers as a whole, but more or less into the freelance world where there's no rules applied. And I've been getting a lot of questions on my end, and I'm pretty sure you get this often too, Dre. Like, how did you start, and like, where did you fumble, and some mistakes? So, I want to ask you, like, what was the biggest mistake you had initially when you transitioned into 100% freelance and doing so successfully, by the way? My boy is in the high five figures monthly. Let's
so
go.
so I feel like so let me even take it a step back
Hmm.
before even leaving my job and transitioning. But I want to talk about like the very first time where I was freelancing and I was working a job at the same time.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of the mistakes that I would have made going, leaving my job and going into straight freelance, I've alleviated because of the experience that I had beforehand. When I
That's a great
had like
point.
when I was working a right. So when I had there was a point where I had like 9 clients, right? And I had a full-time job, and like I made a lot of mistakes, like just with understanding how I'm gonna manage my time, or like things with like certain agreements with clients. There was a lot of things that I did wrong. And because I did that, and I did that in a way that I had 9 clients. Like I had a lot on my plate. So
Yeah.
I failed so hard, right? I failed so hard. But because I failed so hard, I was able to learn so much. Like I was
Hmm.
able to learn because before, like for example, before I had this thing where I'm like, you know what? I ain't doing contracts. Like I don't need a contract. I'm really good at what I do. I, I,
Jeez.
I was super confident, right? And so like,
I don't think
and
a
by the way,
contract means anything
not
with confidence, no? Like, it's just kind of like a legal thing and just setting it, managing
no, yeah, no,
expectations.
no, but
But you didn't know that back then. I got it. I
no,
got it.
but that's no, exactly. So what I'm saying is like when I was doing that and I didn't have a contract, right? But and by the way, it never really backfired on me in such a bad way to where, oh, I left my job and then I lost clients. Like that never happened to me. Like all my clients were satisfied. But there was what's it called? Like I would say I would be going over certain things that was what scope creep, right? Is the term that we like
Yeah,
to call it.
scope creep.
I
Because
would have
I was
certain
gonna
work
go over
scoped
that
out.
too.
Yeah, I would have
Continue.
certain work
Sorry.
scoped out, and
Yeah.
then I would find my. No, that's fine.
Mhm.
I would have like certain work scoped out, and then I find myself going over because I wasn't like setting. First off, I didn't have a contract protecting me saying like this is what we agreed to, this is
Mhm.
what I'm doing, right? But then also like the expectations that I was setting wasn't really that good either. Like I wasn't telling them this as well. I was just saying, hey, I could get you to rank for this term, and so because I learned a lot from that initially, because
Yeah.
seriously, because I learned a lot from that initially, right? Now it's like when I was able to leave, I understood what I needed to do in order to successfully do what I wanted to, right? Which was number one is I don't just rely on my client for income, right? Like that is something that I don't do. I have multiple streams of income so that if because I'm working with one client right now, right? Like if somebody wants to work with me, I'll work with them. I've had people come to me and I've passed
Well,
them
you
on
have a
to
lot
my
of
my
consulting
well,
clients
wait,
too.
wait, wait, wait.
You,
Yeah.
yeah.
I let me I not that I'll work with them, but if someone comes to me and I feel that they're a good fit, then I'll work with them. But it's on
Yeah.
my terms. Like
Right.
I'm not working with people just to work with them, right?
Hmm.
So, that being said, I've created a lot of demand through the YouTube channel, through the like affiliate marketing, through now launching courses, through teaching, through doing all this stuff to where it's
Yeah.
like I'm in a and then also I saved up over $30,000, right? Like in
Yeah.
my
I did
bank
not
account,
do
right?
that.
So like,
I did not
so,
do that.
so like so like for me, I had all areas covered. I have a contract. I have a process. I'm consulting my client that I
Mhm.
work with. I don't do any implementation. I tell them this is what we need to do, and
Yeah.
they do it, right?
So what would you say in the
So I've
beginning was your
established.
biggest mistake though? Like, what would you say was like the biggest, like your
I
biggest
think my
hiccup?
biggest mistake was I think my biggest mistake in the beginning was taking on too many things at once. Because even when I was
Yeah.
working with all those clients, and when I was like, I was still trying to do so many things at once. You know what I mean? Like I was
Mm-hmm.
still trying to do the YouTube. I was still trying to do all this stuff. So I think my biggest mistake before was taking on too many things at once, and that understanding that and understanding, like, remember like a while back I told you, like, I had burnout, right? Like I had
Yeah.
like one of the worst burnouts that I ever had in my whole life, and that was because, like, even though at that time I had fired all those clients, I that was just from taking on too much stuff. And sometimes you have to realize what you can handle mentally. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I just, at that moment of my life, I couldn't handle that mentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so
I
I think that was my
experienced that
biggest
too.
mistake.
I
Yeah,
experienced
so
that too.
shifting it over to you, when you made your transition, what do you feel like was your biggest mistake, or what did you learn a lot from, or
I
what
just
hiccups did you have? And
I just want to like for people to visualize that this dichotomy where Trayshawn was so intentional, so what's meticulous, I think is the word, with like
yeah.
just making sure that all bases were covered no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I did not fucking
Mm-hmm.
do that. That talk about night and day. Like I was just like, fuck this. Let's figure it out as we go. That's literally what I did. So okay, so I would say like the first time that I tried a full-time freelance, like freelance on my own, I failed and I failed miserably. And that's because I initially, one, like transitioning, you need to have money saved up. Like it's just obvious. You need to at least cover yourself. Be safe. Like give yourself a runway for 6 months to a year,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I downgraded all of my expenses. I moved back in with my grandparents, and now we share a home. And that was like a major thing for me. I need to make sure that all of my expenses were really low. And then I was just like, it's not going really well with these two clients that I have. I didn't know how to onboard new clients. I didn't have any systems. I also did the classic mistake, which is what I really, really preach marketers not to do, digital marketers, is, I mean, initially I think it's okay, but you cannot stay there for too long, which is doing a little bit of everything. Digital marketing is so broad, right?
Yeah.
You have social media,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
organic, you have SEO, you have search engine marketing, but the paid aspect, PPC, then you have Facebook
Mm-hmm.
ads,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have even design, like website design, all just so many facets and so many arms within digital marketing that people try to do a little bit of everything, right? And I think that is where I royally fucked up. I royally fucked up there. And so I actually went back to working at a job at a nine to
Mm-hmm.
five. But the thing is, like, this time it was a very strategic move for me. I started
Mm-hmm.
working with Damon John. That's when I started working with Damon John from Shark Tank, ABC Shark Tank. And I was just like, okay, I screwed up on my own. I tried it, like I ended up running through all my money, and I didn't really have any money. I think I had like in my bank account, I feel like it was just like $200.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a
But
pretty
look at
low.
you.
It
But
was a
you
pretty low
learned.
low. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dude, my at one point my credit score was like at 490. I think that's the lowest, or like 460, something like that. Yeah, I was like living
Yeah.
on credit cards and shit, and I was just like, all right, obviously reality sets, right? I need to. Is that your dog in the background?
Yeah, that is. I'm trying to get to the close the door.
Your dog feels my pain.
He was. Yeah, he does.
He was like, yo, that sucks. Oh my god. She's so fucking stupid for quitting. So that's when I was working with Damon. And I just racked up then. And it just so happened while working with Damon, like I also picked up clients on the side. And then I kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, that's where I like really leveled up. I got my
Mm-hmm.
money right. I didn't have 30K saved in the bank. I just had more or less confidence and faith in myself that I'd make that much. I had like 10, like around
Mm-hmm.
10.
Mm-hmm.
But my living expenses were super low, so I was good.
Mm-hmm.
So I transitioned, and then I failed again. Like, even, dude, earlier this year with COVID, like I lost one of my main clients. and I just
Mm-hmm.
started repivoting, and I reshifted. And the thing is, like, my pivot and my reshift really took the span of like 2 months, and I literally like
Mm-hmm.
3x, 5x, then it ended up like 10xing my revenue just by diversifying my income streams. And the main one being
Mm-hmm.
like on the educational part of thing, consulting, like
Mm-hmm.
educational sides of things, consulting and managing more clients, like bringing on clients, and doing it the right way. And
Mm-hmm.
the right way means by not doing a little bit of everything. Like we've all fallen into that trap. I fell into a social media trap. I fell into like scope creep so many times, you know, not having ironclad contracts and just managing clients in the sense that you're really have clear expectations and they know at the end of the day what you're going to deliver, and they
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're doing is like they know what's over delivering and they know what's under delivering. Like they just know
Mm-hmm.
you have clear expectations written out. So my level in managing clients has just been insane. Client communication, just overall my leadership skills and just how much I've invested in myself. You know, like last month was a 20K month, and now like my goal for Q2 is on like full transparency is like to scale the agency side of things, and that's why I'm hiring like a media
Mm-hmm.
buyer. And honestly, with everything going on, bring that up to 50K, you know, a month, while keeping expenses low and while, you know, being 100% remote capable and all that good stuff. And then we'll kind of see from there and assess. I'm sure like I'm it's really hard work. It's not easy building not only just like an educational business. Building out courses is kicking my ass. Like managing clients at the same time, you know, it's really tough work. But I'm at a point where same like I gave the analogy of I had to make all of these mistakes because I had to build up historical data. The same way when you optimize an account, you need to view a good chunk of data, you know, a sizable sample size, right? And I had a sizable amount of sample size, and I optimized accordingly, and I scaled shit. Like I see everything, like especially myself, like in like a Google Ads or a Facebook Ads account, which is probably neurotic, but I optimize myself, and that kind of leads me to my mission, like, and your mission as well, is like to help freelancers to really thrive, or digital marketing
Yep.
freelance to really thrive in the space and not to fall into those
Yep.
pitfalls, because I didn't dwell in there for too long, but I know people that do. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like
So
you
let's
say you're a digital marketer, but like you're a model like on Instagram. Like I'm so confused at what you're doing. Like, or you're a photographer you're like a photographer, and then you're like I don't know what it is that you do. And like there's a five, you know, like the
right.
the 5 second rule in CRO. I don't mean to call anyone out. That's
Yeah.
foul, but like I love everyone. But like
Hey, you ain't say no names.
no, I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing. Like if you are this is a pro tip, right? The same principles you use in marketing, apply it to yourself. So one of the rules that I have with a client when I onboard them and I know that like I'm sending traffic to their certain website, like they have to hit certain CRO standards and like conversion rate optimization standards.
Right.
Like their
Like if I don't know
website,
what you do,
yeah, like if you the 5 second test,
if I
right? If you fail the five
yeah.
second test and you're not clear on what it is that you provide, and I don't understand it, your customer isn't going to understand it either. And so you need to apply the same principles
Yep.
to yourself, right? So I work with, and you
Hmm.
do as well, work
But
with marketers.
for people who don't know,
What's up?
what the 5 second test is,
Oh,
what
the
is the
five
five
second.
second
It's just
test?
in 5 seconds. I don't know what the fuck you do on your
We
website.
know it, but yeah.
No, if like
If we
if
don't know
I
what you're
don't know,
doing, then you need to
your
reevaluate.
your customer doesn't know either. Your client doesn't know. You know, there, and then there's like
Yep.
low hanging
Yep.
fruit optimizations, I like to call them, or like big swing optimizations, or big swing A/B tests. Is like, you know, making sure there's some kind of call to action on your homepage and blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
I'm getting too in the weeds, but
All
biggest
that stuff.
mistake I would
Too,
say
yeah,
is like,
in the weeds.
yeah, in the weeds, is like not
Yeah.
anchoring my services in one thing. If you anchor your services in one thing, like for example, I anchor my services in paid media specifically for e-commerce businesses. I'm now thinking about upselling and using email to upsell, you know, upselling my clients with that. But I have one anchor service, one signature service, right? The same thing with my coaching business, right? With the coaching business,
Mm-hmm.
I specifically service paid media strategists that want to break out or transition into freelance successfully and do so in a way that they can then grow into like a solo agency or solopreneurship or an agency, whatever they want to do, right? But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you really need a signature service and anchor service. You need to find that niche, and it takes some time. So if you are figuring that out and you're finding your footing, like, be patient with yourself, stay the course, but also
Yep.
rapidly learn from your mistakes, or else they're in vain, honestly.
Yep. Yeah, because there's a lot of people that make mistakes and they don't learn from their mistakes. So it's okay to make mistakes, but
It's
just make
important, it's
sure that you are
vital.
learning from them.
Yeah.
Right? Like pause literally as you make a mistake, right? Pause and ask yourself, how could I have done this better? One of the mistakes that I'll give you an example. One of the mistakes that I made was I had this client, I think I spoke about this before, but I had this client and he was he could have been a great client. He could have been an amazing client,
Yeah, I remember
right?
this one.
But the problem was is that I think I told him like pay me $500 up front and $500 at the end of the month, right? And because I wasn't charging him on a retainer, I was doing like partial payments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the problem was that at the end of the month, I would have to try to get him to pay me the money that he was supposed to pay me. In that
That's
specific,
the most, like,
right? Like, but in that scenario, right?
yeah.
I I felt like he was a terrible client. What I realized was I was the terrible partner. I was a terrible marketer. I was a terrible consultant because I did that to myself.
Yeah.
Had I would have not and I just thought it would sound better. Like I just thought, hey, $500 up front, $500 at the end of the month. Right? I just thought it would sound better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not even a lot of money. But had I not did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I probably wouldn't be working with him right now because I wouldn't take anybody who's paying me $1,000 a month right now. But
Yeah.
maybe, if we were to, raise the prices and stuff like that and talk about it or whatever the case may be, I would probably still be working with him. He wasn't a bad client. He literally was a good client. He was just terrible at paying. He was a nice person. I enjoyed talking to him. He wanted to bring me onto multiple projects, and I was like, no, I don't want to work with because of this specific situation. But I learned because I took a step back and I said, okay, what could I have done better in that scenario? What could I
Mm-hmm.
have done better in that situation? Right.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to take a step back and realize that sometimes it's not the client. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes you're the problem.
It's
Sometimes you
actually,
need to realize
it's
that.
always you, I think, because you can. So the way you even,
Uh,
okay. So
yeah,
first, so
yeah.
here's the thing. Here's why I think it's
Okay,
always
okay,
you.
okay, okay, okay,
Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me
okay,
out.
okay. Go ahead, go ahead.
You onboarded someone. First off, if it's not clicking and it's not working well at all in every way,
Mm-hmm.
shape, or form, you didn't do your due diligence, in my opinion. You didn't qualify the client well. Like, I think you only know that through experience. You have to go through the mud. I get that. But say if you have a client, or say if the client is, genuinely upset and thinks you're not doing the work that you're supposed to do, you're not communicating the work that you have done well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whenever I assess, this is a funny thing. All the questions that I mainly get is like, client doesn't X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, first off, it's how do you even manage the client? Like, say specifically with Google Ads, like, this is a tactic that I use with my clients and, like, my coaching clients too. And I let them know, like, it's good to report, right? You want to have a snapshot. You want them to understand that someone's managing their budget effectively and the optimizations you've done. You want to be upfront and transparent about the things that can improve. Even, like, I always go over things that we can improve moving to the next month, because hey, we're a partner. Like that,
Mm-hmm.
initially I position myself as a partner because it's the truth. Like, the more, with certain clients, well, most clients, like, the more money they spend, the more I make. So this is
Mm-hmm.
a win-win, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure we set that up in that way, right? Um, okay, so with managing with clients, you want to report data, you want to give them a snapshot, things like that, but you don't want to get too in the weeds of optimizations that can be made in the account too much, because a lot of optimizations are outside of the account. It's on the business as a whole, and we've spoken about this. Sometimes it's,
Mm-hmm.
like, I would say 50% of the time the landing page
Mm-hmm.
that you're sending traffic to, and ways in which you can optimize that, which is why I started incorporating some CRO kind of methodologies and testing with what I do on the campaign front. But I, and also even like the ad creatives or the copy, like overall, take a step back. What I see myself as, I'm an advertiser, I'm a marketer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I work on positioning my clients a certain way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's make sure we stand out outside of we stand out in a sea of competition,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that we position ourselves in the way that we are, people are going to want to come to us as opposed to the competition, right? So that's like a branding principle. I take it all the way back to branding and positioning the client in a certain way, and then having all do it, like make sure that I'm checking all checking all the check marks for the optimizations and the technicals part of things, making sure that everything is smooth, everything, all of that is good,
Mm-hmm.
right? But as our machine, as our campaigns are learning and optimizing, like with machine learning, here's what we can work on business wise. Here are some creative ideas in which we can pivot and get people engaged more with the brand. Here's what we can do: incorporate email, like make sure that there's just certain things that clients need that guidance with. It doesn't always have to be in the account. Then they'll start seeing you as a business consultant, someone that is absolutely indispensable in their business. You really want to anchor yourself in there.
But have you never like qualified a client, right, or a client, and you thought that you did an amazing job of qualifying this client, right? Like you made sure that they hit all the marks of what you think an ideal client is for Cynthia, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
then you started working with them, and then they were terrible. Because this is why I say that it's not always your fault. Because there are times where you will, it's like being in a relationship, right? If I'm going on a date with someone, they're going to show me their absolute best. If I'm looking at certain data, or I'm looking at whatever I could find about this specific client, but more so I'm talking to them and they're showing me this stuff, they're going to
Yeah.
show me what I want to hear. So sometimes, you know what I mean? It's not always your fault. There are times, a lot of the times, it's going to be your fault when you're inexperienced. But there are going to be times where you did try your best, you did qualify the client, you
Right.
did do everything right, and you still worked with this client, and they were in a good fit after the fact. And that is why you need to have something in your contract that states you can give a like a notice, like a 2-week notice, if you do not want to work with this client anymore, based off of what's happening in your relationship as you're working with this client. Because there's some
In my
clients,
contracts, I just say like 7-day notice. That's it. Because I feel
right,
so confident in my retention.
right. So the way I look at it is, I had a client where
I
we
have a comment though, because you
go ahead,
kind of asked me a question. You said like, what about if you qualify and they're still
go ahead.
shitty?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, then I don't. So same way, how we went on a rant yesterday. Like I went on
Mm-hmm.
a rant on
Mm-hmm.
how I'm very particular with who I work with in every capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Very intentional, and I work very hard to be. Same with my clients. So they have to have a certain mindset when I work with a client. I have to make sure that they're willing to put in the work and think about this long term. I think I do get clients that care about things in the short term, but listen, at the end of the day, you're really going to see results in the long term. Same thing with SEO. Like when I'm working on optimizing a client's account, or at the end of the day, scaling their revenue and building their business,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a long-term play, because I'm not just building revenue, I'm building brand. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, I want them to not just only rely on PPC, which you
Mm-hmm.
never should anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's building out other systems. Like with this
Mm-hmm.
one client in particular that I've been telling you about, I'm basically a CMO, their pocket CMO, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. But at the same time, like if you have a client, right, and it's just not jiving and you did everything you can, there's always
Mm-hmm.
going to be like these outliers where it's just a
Mm-hmm.
bad fit, like it just something
A hundred
happened, I don't
percent.
know, like god forbid something happened to them and then they just act nasty, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
right? I get that happens all the time, that's fine. But most of the times you can, if you guys are on the same level or the same goals, the same values more or less, or have the same work ethic at least, you can always work it out. Like even with this client, they're very temperamental, whatever. But at the end of the day, I care about growing their business and they care about growing their business. We are aligned in that way. So we're going to make it work. You can oftentimes groom your client. Like, you're never going to find the perfect client, in my opinion. Like, I don't think you
Mm-hmm.
can always find the perfect partner. You have to groom them and they have to groom
Mm-hmm.
you. You guys have to
Mm-hmm.
grow into each other. So that's how I feel. That's my philosophy on clients. And my other philosophy of clients is like always giving them, being in a state of constantly giving reality checks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's, so I mean, like, I start that off from the beginning. They know how I work. I let them know up front, like, this is how it is, blah 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 blah. And like, we'll work it out accordingly. If we have the same values, the same work ethic, the same principles, we'll work it out.
Right. And that can definitely happen. But my whole thing is you can't 100% of the time control that. You know what I mean? Like there's just like you said, there's gonna be certain
Yeah, there's going to
clients.
be outliers. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
there's gonna be
course.
certain clients that come through the pipeline that just doesn't work out, and it's not because of you. It's because of it's probably because of them, or maybe it's because you guys just don't mesh well. You guys don't,
Yeah.
have the like you said, have the same values. There's always gonna be
Yeah.
that thing there. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
But
100%,
yeah,
I agree.
you can groom clients. You can
Yeah.
teach a client how to do stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people who do that in SEO every day. Most of these like YouTube gurus that's on, no shots at anyone, but most of
You
these
shot
YouTube
everyone. What are you talking about? Shots fired by Dre Sean Facts Ryan.
most of these facts most of these most of these gurus on YouTube like that run local SEO agencies,
Yeah.
they're working with local businesses who don't know what SEO is, who never has done, like, they have to onboard the client, they have to build the website, then they have to sell them on SEO, right?
Yeah.
After they sell them on SEO, then they're doing SEO and then they're educating them. And some clients you can educate, but if you look at the specific what is it called? Like, oh man, I can't think of the word right now. The blah 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 blah
What are you trying to
blah.
say?
Like the turnover rate, churn rate.
Yeah, I
I
think
can't.
it's the churn rate. Yeah. Wait, what is
Of course,
it?
I
I know
forgot,
what you
but
mean. Like, I know what
you
you
know what
mean.
I
Like
mean.
the churn rate, the rate in which that they kind of
That
quit
the clients
or
come and leave. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
come and leave. Yeah.
If you look at
Turnover
local
rate.
yeah, yeah, I think it's turnover. I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
turnover.
Some
I
shit.
don't know because turnover, I think, is
Because
for
I think
employee.
it's churn,
I
maybe.
think it's churn.
Because I
I
always
think it's
think like
churn.
churn and burn. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Continue. We get
All
it.
right.
We get it.
So my whole thing is like you'll see a lot of these people on YouTube complaining about how, damn, I can't keep a client, or the client is not sustainable, or I can't work with this client or whatever. And it's because
You suck.
that's just a no, that's really
No,
because
I know.
that's the nature of local SEO. Like, you're onboarding people who don't know anything, right? You're working with a local business owner that probably has never done SEO in their entire life. They don't value
Interesting.
that, right?
Mm,
And because they don't value it, now when you're doing something and they don't know what the hell is going on, is this bringing in
mm,
money for me? Now they're like, I don't want to work with you because I feel like you're scamming me. Like, I'm paying you, I don't know what I'm paying you for. And
yeah.
that's why you have to set expectations, but
Word.
you can set expectations, and that still happens. You can tell them, do you know that SEO is going to take you 6 months to get results? Do you know that SEO is going to take you a year to
Yeah.
get results? And they're like, yeah, I know, and I'm dedicated, and you feel the passion, and in the moment it's there. But like when it's all said and done, you'll see certain scenarios where it's just like, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so there's clients that
Great.
are like that. There are clients that are like that, and there's clients that you can bring on board, and they adapt. They start to realize, okay, this is a long-term game. They have that mindset. But you can't control, you don't know who's going to have that mindset, really. You know what I mean? Like, you
I
can try to
know.
figure it
But I,
out.
I think so, one thing that we preach and one thing that we do for ourselves is, personal branding and content marketing, right?
Hmm.
So the whole point of personal branding and content marketing is to make sure that you're really putting out your worldview and you're differentiating yourself. This is a positioning tactic, right? This is a
Hmm.
marketing tactic, right?
Hmm.
So the goal behind that and the intention behind that is to let the world know, hey, I do this in this way and this and with my personality and my
Hmm.
worldview and my personal philosophy and things like that, right?
Hmm.
So my goal is to be so open about that, that people, which is the case, has been the case, they come to me and they already have that. They're in fact attracted to that more than anything. So
Hmm.
I think that, yes, in the beginning, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, like, sometimes it's not your fault. Yes, in the beginning,
Yeah,
sometimes it's not your fault because you don't know what you don't know. And you're going to,
exactly.
like, you're also not, you don't have so much of a brand. You don't have as much perceived value as you would like, like I get all these things because perceived value is also a great way to add weight to your name, and you just become easier to listen to, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
people are just going to, be more likely to listen to you in general, just having that weight. So I get what you're saying. Sometimes it's not your fault, and it's the same thing that we see like with managing Google Ads accounts and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook Ads accounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's the landscape. We cannot predict a COVID-19.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
just shit happens, and you need
Yep.
to be able to convey that to your client. Like, listen, we're doing everything we can. There's just some things we can't do. Like
Mm-hmm.
just I can't undo COVID-19.
Yep.
So I'm with you. I think what you're getting at and alluding at is that there's nuances to everything, specifically when
Exactly.
you're working with small businesses. I get that, which is why even a certain revenue amount is what I work with
Exactly. It's
people over a
important.
certain revenue amount. Yeah, I get
Right.
that. Yeah, I think we're on the same
We're on the
page.
same page. Yeah. As
Yeah,
always, like, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
We're on the same page, Ryan. Dre, we're on the same page, Ryan. What would you say? What would you say? Let's close this out and
Mm-hmm.
kind of close it out with some like hope and inspiration. What would you say is your advice? Someone that was in Dre's shoes previously when you were kind of feeling like burnout and like stuck from a job and looking to really just like transition on your own and have your own your version of freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell that to someone that was just in your position that's looking to transition and they just feel like they feel overwhelmed by it and they feel like they can't do it,
That they can't do it.
or
Well,
experiencing doubt, like they're just like,
mhm.
damn, I want to do it, but I don't know.
The first thing I would say is cover all grounds, right? Because you don't necessarily, you have a skill that can enable you to make money for yourself. And I think it's important to realize that because you can do freelance work, which I encourage you to do freelance work. I encourage you to take on clients.
Yep.
But when you have a skill that can allow you to make money for yourself, so that in the event that, first off, you can get all the confidence that you need in the world from seeing your own results. Like there's nothing, in my opinion, that brings weight. Like when you can see your own results and you
Yep.
see what you're doing for yourself, there is
Yep.
nothing better than that that will create the confidence for you to know that you know what you're doing to serve other people.
Yeah.
That's the first thing, right? So, but also when you're creating that for yourself, you're creating you have something that is running in the background for you that you can make a decision and a choice of who you want to work with and how you want to work with these people, right? So having that as a driver by itself is a extreme confidence boost, right? Because A, you know you can do that. B, you know that you have some type of income coming in if you were to leave your job. You don't want to leave your job with nothing, right? You want to save up money, and then once you do that, I would say start building a personal brand. You need to
Yeah.
work with a coach, work with someone who's going to be able to help you build your personal brand. I actually have a free
I
course
was gonna
plug.
help you plug
I
it.
actually
I
have a
was gonna
free
help you
course.
plug it. I was gonna be like, yo.
No, no, no,
I
I
was
know.
gonna, okay, go.
But I already know. Me and Sid, we on the same type of time.
Yo, I was
But
about to ask you, yo, Dre,
but
what do you have
I,
to help this on a free kind of, basis? Like, what do you got? What do you got for
I
me?
got go to courses.dreseanryan.com/from prospect to client. We'll leave the link actually in the description,
Yeah.
and because that's a lot to remember, right?
Sure. From DreSeanRyan.com
You know how to
slash.
spell my name, but maybe I don't know.
I
People
feel like that's the
listening,
easiest name. I get it. Okay.
right? So, but here's the thing:
Wait. What does the free course cover?
personal, like learning how to develop your personal brand, how to attract opportunities, how to create, like, basically how to attract and convert opportunities. That's really what it covers.
Is it
And so
specifically for SEOs?
yeah, but everybody can take it, but it
Yeah.
is for SEOs specifically. So if you have a background in SEO, you should definitely check it out. And it will help you learn how you can start doing the stuff that you need to do right now, so that when you are ready to leave your job, right, you can do so and you can be covered, right? Now, as far as creating the income and the, you know, the affiliate income and all that stuff, I highly encourage you to do that. You know, there's a bunch of free resources you can watch online as well about learning how to build passive income. Um, just go on YouTube, type in like affiliate marketing and SEO, affiliate SEO, look that up. Look
Mhm.
at Miles Beckler. He's a good person to watch. But my advice to you is really first create something for yourself that you are covered, because you don't know what's going to happen, right? That's
Mhm.
the reality of it. Also have a huge savings, and then develop that personal brand so that you can attract leads and you can decide who the hell you want to work with. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like, you don't want to be
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah.
But Sin, I'm
What
gonna
about
turn that
me?
question. Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
gonna
I
turn
have
that
to
question to
say
you.
it's pretty similar. Like my advice to anyone that's looking to transition and to do this,
Hmm.
really dedicate and be committed is to start now. Don't quit your job, actually. Start now, right? Start saving. I don't think honestly how much you need to save is all relevant to your like living expenses, right?
Hmm.
But start now. Not only so I'll tell you what I did. Not only did I build and have two clients, two sorry, I had three clients already that were pretty that already covered my salary more or less.
Hmm.
I had 10K saved up. Um, I was building my personal brand. I've been built my personal brand. I was building those systems in place. I had procedures. I made sure that like one of the biggest things is just like having a simple onboarding procedure. I treated myself as a business at that point,
Hmm.
and I transitioned really successfully. I wasn't like frazzled or anything like that. Not like the first time. The first time I was like, "Fuck, what am I doing?" And I did fuck up, whatever. But I learned. So the second time when did it right, like I would never go back to a job. I just simply don't need to at this point. And if I did, like there's no shame in that either. I don't
Yeah.
care. As I'll be the best at anything. I don't care what.
Hmm.
Like I used to say, like I don't care if I work at McDonald's. Honestly, like I'll be the best burger
Same.
flipper. Like
Yeah.
I'm just I don't give a shit. And I have no shame in providing for my family. So I would say, like, to recap what Dre said, and what I believe as well, is like make sure that you have a safety net in terms of your resources. Know your numbers. Not, you know, like you're gonna have to
True.
know your numbers when you transition into your own business. You're gonna need to know your MLE, which is your minimum level of engagement. Like Drayshawn mentioned before, how it would literally not be affordable for him to take on $1,000 client. I would literally
Yep.
be bleeding money if I did the same, right?
Yep.
So know your minimum level of engagement when you're in the business, and when you're transitioning know how much you need in order to survive for the next 6 months. Lower your expenses, buckle down, because all that material shit really I really don't care for it. I mean I care for it, but not in the way that like I care for the real shit. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
like
You're
if I
not gonna.
can't buy it 3 times, I can't afford
I
it.
can't afford it.
Yep.
Facts.
Okay, so buckle down, save up, right? Understand how much it takes to live for the next 6 months on your own. Have clients already, like freelance already, like work your muscles, warm up, get in there, just start doing it now. You know, you're gonna have to burn the midnight oil. And I understand like mental health and everyone tells you to take a break. Yeah, take breaks, but the also work really hard, and you're supposed to feel stressed, and you're supposed to feel like overwhelmed, right? So that and so get started already with client work. And then the third piece, what was the third piece? You mentioned the third piece being, oh yeah, your
Um.
personal brands. You need to
Yeah.
build your personal brand. You need to build, so the reason why you build your personal brand is for perceived value. You could be the
Yep.
best marketer in the world, you could do but if no one knows who you are, you ain't shit, and you can't charge shit, you
Yep.
know. So it's building perceived value in the name of the game, and that's a long-term play, right? So
And,
you really need to have the right mindset for that, and you need to, take Drayshawn's SEO course. It's free from prospect to client course for digital marketers, specifically SEOs, but anyone can learn anything from it. You're going to take that free course. It's 100% free, 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 free,
it's
free,
free
free,
for.
free.
And I want to say one more thing before we jump off. Um, when we say personal brand, right? A lot of people think that we're talking about millions and millions of people. Like you got to have all these people that want to,
Nah.
you know, work with you. Nah, you just need the smallest viable audience. The
Yes.
people
Bring that
that,
Seth Godin heat.
right?
Let's go.
Like
Let's go. Let's go.
that's all you need. You just need, honestly, they have this thing called the one, 1,000 true fans, right? You don't
Mhm.
even need 1,000 people though. Really, you don't even need 1,000.
I feel like you
Honestly,
just need
right?
100.
You just need 100.
Yeah.
If you could connect with 100 people that resonate with you, then those people can go on to word of mouth, spread your brand. Those people can buy things from you. Those people can support you. Those people can, just talk about you all over the internet, get your name buzzing. You don't need to feel like you need to have like 12.4 million followers or anything like that. I don't have
Mhm.
12.4 million followers.
Me
Sin doesn't
neither.
have 12.4 million followers. But guess what? She just did a talk with General Assembly, right? Like,
Hey.
so like, like, you don't need to have a huge following. You just need to, first off, you need the most important thing is having those people that's gonna, like your brand, blah blah blah, but also just be known to the people who matter,
Mhm.
right? Like, that's it. And that's why the
Oh.
power of networking is so
I
important.
was just gonna say that. I was like, damn, can I revise? Because okay, number 4 is networking. That's important. That's why that's why the Slack channel for us is so important for like,
Yep.
so my coaching clients and Dre's coaching clients, they mingle. What we're trying to do now is like to have happy hours on a monthly basis because
Yep.
we're all dealing with the same stuff. We're all trying to level up. So we really want to connect and lift each other up, and like client referrals and stuff like that is real. Right. So
Yeah.
I think that's like the best way to start. And then, yeah, just go for it, man. If you stop thinking about it so much, just do it. I'm not saying to
Just
quit your
do it.
job. I don't think you should quit your job
No, we
unless you
didn't say
have all
that.
your bases covered. But I'm saying to just do it. Like, what are you waiting for at that point? Just freaking do it.
Yep.
I also have a video on YouTube on like how to market your freelance business, which is more on the pillar of building that perceived value. So with Drayshawn's free course, from prospect to client, specifically for digital marketers and SEOs, take that, and then also check out that YouTube video on how to market your freelance business on
Yep.
my YouTube channel. Free resources to get started, and I think they're really actually freaking valuable.
It's
So
it's fire.
only fuego, only
You
fire.
already know.
Only fuego. All right, guys. It was awesome chopping it up with you. And be sure to follow us on everything that we're on.
For sure. You can see it. You'll find it in the description, guys.
You'll
Peace.
you'll see something there. Take care, guys. Bye.